Hello friends! In this video, we'll talk about US entry and Philippines exit travel requirements and travel guidelines. So this will be very simple. Entering the US is easy and leaving the Philippines shouldn't be complicated for most of you. So what do you need to prepare and what are the rules to follow? This is not stressful. Let's start with mask wearing. As you know that recently US CDC requiring mask on public transport is no longer in effect. So mask wearing is no longer required in public transport in the US. However, for public safety and in compliance with Philippine laws, all individuals traveling to the US from the Philippines and vice versa will still be required to wear a mask throughout the flight and when inside the Philippine terminal. This is according to Philippine Airlines. While wearing mask inside a flight may not be so strict, but when you are inside the Philippine airports, mask is really required. So please bring mask. Next up is a pre-departure test still required when going back or entering the US. The good news is that ever since yesterday, June 12, it's no longer required. Yes. The CDC rescinds order requiring negative COVID tests prior to entry date to the US, meaning starting June 12, no need to get tested or no need to show proof of recovery when boarding a flight to the US po. And this applies to all passengers, all air passengers, regardless of vaccination status. So even if you're unvaccinated, you are also exempted. You don't need to show pre-departure test. Nobody does. Now, do you need to fill out any form? According to American Airlines, US citizen and legal permanent residents, no need, but you must provide contact info to your airlines. I think it's been there that contact info has been required ever since, so it's not a biggie. While for non-US citizens, attestation form related to proof of vaccine may still be required. Provide information, contact, same like the US citizens. So just contact info and attestation for non-US citizens. And then for US citizens or legal permanent residents, just a contact info. This is also in line with the information given by United Airlines. Well, how about non-US citizens and non-legal permanent residents? Do you need to be fully vaccinated to enter the US? The answer is non-US citizens and non-US immigrants and non-legal permanent residents must be fully vaccinated to enter the US. Yes, the no vax, no entry to the US still applies. It's still here. It's still there. While, of course, US citizens and legal permanent residents are exempted from that vaccination requirement. To those who are vaccinated in the Philippines po, you can use BOQ yellow card or much easier to get Vaxcert PH because it's free and you can get it online. Mas madali, Vaxcert PH. Vaxcert is accepted in the US. Moving forward, is booster shot required for non-US citizen, non-legal permanent residents? No. The CDC is keeping its order to only have the primary series. So booster shot is not required. Again, non-US po, non-legal permanent resident, please be fully vaccinated before entering. Now, unless exempted, there are exemptions to that vaccination requirement, pero they're very, very limited. Exempted from the vaccination requirement are children under 18, persons with documented medical contraindications to vaccine, persons issued with exemptions. So you must present appropriate documentation for that. For the complete list of vaccination exemptions, I'll put the link in the comment section. In summary, testing is no longer required. Vaccination is still a must for non-US citizens and non-legal permanent residents. Attestation form may be required to non-US citizen and non-legal permanent residents. Basically, guys, I know most of you are dual citizens, US to Philippines, US citizens who avail the BALIKBAYAN privilege, former Filipinos, green card holders who stayed for less than 6 months. If you guys stayed in the Philippines for less than 1 year, The only thing you need when going back to the US is your passport and your ticket. Yes, it's just like pre-pandemic times. Your passport and your ticket. That's it. And pasalubong. Well, that's optional. How about our transit, Jennifer? We're transiting in other countries. What are the requirements? So let me give you some of the countries. For example, if you have a transit in Japan, it's less than 24 hours. You have a layover there. There are no requirements to follow as long as it is just a layover. In South Korea, Incheon, there is no requirements as long as it is just a layover. Same with Singapore, no requirements. Vax or not, it's the same. While transit in Thailand, it's more complicated. You may need an insurance. While transit in Hong Kong, children aged 3 years old and below and transit passengers are no longer required to present a negative test result. So no requirements. Qatar, same thing, no requirements. So that's it. Basically, for most of you po, Philippine, ticket tsaka passport. Ayan. Now, how about Philippines exit requirements, Jennifer? Don't worry guys, the Philippines has no COVID requirements for departing foreigners, balikbayans, or Filipinos residents abroad. Wala, it's just like pre-pandemic times, like normal times. And these requirements I will talk about are for tourists or foreigners who stayed long in the Philippines. So let's start with Filipinos on non-immigrant visas or short-term visas. Please secure that your Philippine passport must be valid at least 6 months from date of departure. So if your passport is less than 6 months or 6 months na lang, please renew it before you travel. Next up is Filipino tourist, COVID departure requirements, insurance. I inquired with immigration last week and they say it's still required. Pero some people report na hindi na hinanap. So it depende, pero it's still best to have it just in case. There are insurances na nasa 500 pesos or 1,000 pesos lang. So there's always options available. Marami pong options online. I-search nyo lang. Pwede nyo i-check AXA or Safety Wing. Important, it has COVID coverage. And then BI travel declaration and acceptance form. Ibibigay naman to sa airport. So you can do this at the airport na. While travel tax for Filipinos po, if you are flying economy, that's 1,620 pesos. No need to pay for travel tax. OFWs, infants 2 years old and below, Filipino permanent residents abroad, green card holders, dual Filipino citizens, former Filipinos, and foreign tourists who stay in the Philippines is less than 1 year. Most of you are under these categories. Basta less than 1 year, no need to pay travel tax. Now, transit or layover in other countries, I talked about that already. Let's go with immigration. In summary, Filipinos on tourist visas need your visa, of course. Attestation form may still be required for proof of vaccination. And then your vaccination card or certificate. CFO for those with foreign fiancé or partner in the US. Philippine passport should be more than 6 months valid. Confirm round-trip tickets or round-trip tickets. Travel and health insurance with COVID coverage. And then BI form acknowledging risk of travel. Itong visa, vaccination card, CFO, round-trip ticket, and insurance, that's the most important. CFO, you can get this online po. All Filipinos going abroad as fiancés, spouses, or family members of foreign nationals are required to attend the CFO guidance. While ECC and immigration certificate clearance, this is required for foreign nationals who stayed in the Philippines for more than 6 months or those with valid alien registration certificate, I-cards. You will need an ECC before leaving the Philippines. So if you stayed for less than 1 year, 6 months to 1 year, you can just simply get this at the airport. But if you stayed for more than 1 year, you have to secure your ECC at the Bureau of Immigration Office. The charge for ECC is around 1,200 and up. And that's it. Bon voyage. Again, for those balikbayans, duals, US citizen, if you avail the balikbayan privilege and you stayed for less than 1 year, just your airline ticket and your passport. Foreign nationals who stayed or more than 6 months did not avail the balikbayan privilege, just purely foreign tourists. You have an ARCI card, please secure your ECC. That's it. For Filipinos on tourist visas, alam nyo na, pero pag first time nyo mag-travel, marami talagang hinihingi, merong interview, so dalhin nyo na lang po kung ano yung dinala nyo during your application for your visa. Dalhin nyo lang po and answer that truthfully ng yung mga questions ng officer, ng BI officer. That's all. God bless you all and have a safe journey to the US. Bye!